Well, Hong Kong is closing all schools from Monday after a spike in cases there. The territory recorded more than 40 locally transmitted cases on Thursday, the highest daily tally in more than 3 months. Public high schools were closed in January amid the early stages of the outbreak and were gradually reopened from May. But new clusters have emerged in recent days. For the very latest, we can go now to Hong Kong. Our correspondent Oliver Farry is there. And Oliver, tell us a bit more about the actions authorities are taking at this stage.
Well, as you said, the schools are the first to be shut down. Only secondary schools had actually reopened since the virus eased in throughout the months of May and June. Primary schools were still kept at home, particularly younger ones. There are also another a raft of measures that will be mooted for bars and restaurants and other facilities. Restaurants have already been told that they must go back to maximum 8 people at a table, which had been the case for a couple of months until late June. The government, according to local media, is also considering forcing people from certain high-risk countries such as India, Pakistan, South Africa, Bangladesh and Nepal to provide a negative test certificate before they board a flight to Hong Kong. Hong Kong at the moment is only admitting residents, people with the right to live here. They need not necessarily be locals, and so it is really only essential travel that comes in. The quarantine and testing facilities at Hong Kong Airport are fairly stringent, but there clearly have been quite a lot of loopholes. For instance, today has seen 38 cases. 32 of those were locally transmitted. This is pretty much the very opposite to what had been the case for the last 2 to 3 months, where most of the cases coming in were imported and were caught at the border.
So, Oliver, how worrying is this new spate of cases?
Well, it's certainly something that people are taking very seriously here. Everyone will remember what has happened in Singapore, which was another place in Asia that got its pandemic under control very early, but then was hit by a very precipitous rise in cases a couple of months later. So there are certainly worries over the quarantine and testing regime in place here. For instance, some people have said that because a lot of travellers coming back from mainland China, business travellers are exempt from quarantine, that could be at risk. And also, people were tested negative and then allowed to make their own way home on public transport. It's quite possible that some of them may have carried the virus undetected. So there will be a number of new measures to be taken place to avoid a further increase in cases here.
Oliver, thank you very much indeed. Oliver Farry there reporting from Hong Kong. Well, France is ending